It is 5:57 and we will begin our regular February board meeting. All right, moving on to item number 3. Adoption of the governing board agenda as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I will call for the question. Everyone in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same. Hearing none, it passes unanimously. Moving on to the pledge. I'd like to introduce Tremaine Marshall, our Central Campus Administrative Assistant Administrator, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then we will take a moment of silence. All right, moving on to item number 6. Ms. Markham, I just realized this morning we didn't have the February 2nd minutes, so we'll have to do those next month.
Yes.
Is there any discussion on the minutes for January 12th and January 19th? Hearing none, I'd entertain the motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Hutchinson, second by Mr. Kay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are passed. Moving on to current events. We always start with the superintendents. Mr. Donovan.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and this has just been a fun month, and I've got some fun things to share with the community and the governing board. First up, last week, and I know that some of you, Mr. Ramirez being relatively new and stuff, we are involved with an organization called NC3, the National Coalition of Certification Centers, which is the national body for certifications for a lot of different things. Last week, we hosted the National Train the Trainer for the winter here at West-MEC. We had 70-plus instructors from across the nation who came in and were certified to become certification specialists in various things like diagnostics, precision measurement, some electronics, a number of things. So 70-plus teachers completed those courses and are now ready to begin to offer their secondary, mostly post-secondary instructors, those certifications. So as an example, for those of you in the industrial world, Starrett is a very well-known name in precision measuring. So to become certified as a Starrett tool precision measuring specialist, those kinds of instruments are the things used to send rockets to space and other things when you're within 1/1,000,000th of an inch. And so as we know, in many of our technical fields, measurement is critical. So to become a certified measurement specialist is quite a big deal. A number of those things. So it was exciting. Went well. We really appreciate the support of our Southwest and Northeast campus, which helped host those. It's a lot of work. We had a lot of nice compliments, as always, on our facilities and hospitality. So very fun, and I am still serving on the NC3 board. I do want to remind, we announced this a while back, but our Northwest Campus counselor, Christine Guy, I'll just remind you, was the Arizona Counselor of the Year. What is exciting about that? Counselor of the Year. That's across the board. So competed against all those counselors from the K-12 systems, charter schools, everybody else that applies. To have a CTE counselor win Arizona's Counselor of the Year, School Counselor of the Year, is quite something. 2 weeks ago, I believe now, she traveled to Washington, D.C. With the other 49 Counselors of the Year, met with a bipartisan group of Congress people that helped select and set this criteria for the national competition for the United States Counselor of the Year. a number of venues, meetings, discussion about education, the role of counselors and those kinds of things. It was quite exciting for Christine. Again, to comment, to have Arizona represented and lots of discussion about her role as a career and technical counselor in a career and technical school district is a little bit different. We're very, very proud of her, and I wanted to comment on that. And for the second time, you may recall, just 3 years ago, our very own Shelley Tom also competed at that level of national counselor. Again, really saying something about what we're doing here at West-MEC. So, the third thing, I just gave all of you a copy. Jack briefly mentioned, we are so proud of this. I gave you a copy because I know you're all going to want to brag about this when you get home. Your friends over the next week and other places you go, and probably show them in black and white. But as you can see, just yesterday, we received the official notification from our Cognia accreditation group. And just right off the top, if you go to that bold print, West-MEC's score, 381. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unheard of. Look below that. What is the 5-year range? 278 to 283. They couldn't hardly believe this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is in competition across the country. This is the highest score given in Arizona that anyone can remember. This is in competition against Great Hearts, all of those charter schools that brag about their academic attainment and all the things they do. We have the highest score given in the state of Arizona in at least the last 5 years. We should be proud. We are proud. When you look down through this, it is fantastic. There is some recommendations. So as good as we are, there's always opportunity to improve a few things. But when you look through this, I think Dr. Pingarelli was interviewed. One of the others of you I know were interviewed or had an opportunity to be interviewed. Yeah, Mrs. Wiley. They asked a lot of questions. We're very, very proud. Our staff did a lot of work. I think I reported to this board that when we used to still most of this in paper, which it no longer is, Mr. Straka, but when we did this in paper, it represented about 23 paper boxes of paper. It's a paper process or a review process. It's not tell us what we do, it's show us what you do. And I really, really want to give accolades to Stephen Welch in the Curriculum and Instruction Department as Assistant Superintendent because he chairs this effort. So there are all of our campuses, every employee, everybody has something to do with it. The board has responsibilities to this. We should be 100% proud. We should thank everybody. And Stephen Welch carried the torch, and I want to give him credit for that. It is just a fantastic, unbelievable to see this kind of rating as a career and technical school district because there's a lot of academic questions.
I mean, across the nation. It's unbelievable.
Thank you for your support, and we're proud to brag about this one.
Thank you.
Could I just say something? You know, Mr. Welch, you've done a great job, but this didn't just happen. It's been built up over many years, and Mr. Donovan deserves a good part of that, as does Ms. Markham, and everybody on this staff. They've done we didn't get there in a vacuum or overnight. It's been over a long period of time, and I think it's up to this board and future boards to uphold this high tradition.
What was her score 5 years ago?
Oh, I don't. Mr. Welch, do you recall by any chance?
Chairperson Tracker, governing board members, Superintendent Donovan. It's a difficult question to answer, Mr. Straka, because every 5 years the standards very much change. So this year we reported to 3 domains for a total of 31 standards in those domains. When we went through this 5 years ago, it was the first time we'd gone through systems accreditation, and there were 5 standards at that time and a different number of criteria under those standards. So it's not, every 5 years it kind of changes, so it's hard to compare. Yeah, we rated high. We were in the top 3rd last 5 years as an initial candidate. We were in the top 3rd is how we rated in the state. Of course, this year Superintendent Donovan reported currently there are still some more systems to be accredited this spring, but currently we sit in the number 1 spot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my presentation piece.
All right. The board.
Mr. Chairman, I just, we were just talking about Mr. Welch. I had the pleasure of meeting with him for a few minutes to discuss our partnerships out there. And one was this Taiwanese Semite we were all hearing about. So I walked into this meeting thinking, oh my God, they want, what do they want from us? I'm thinking computers and coding and making chips. No, they want manufacturing and robots and milling and things like that for production. So I think it's really important that we focus on what the needs are out there as we go ahead. And of course, I want to take a moment to put a word in for adult education. That's kind of been one of my things on the board.
Thank you. Any other reports from?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Dr. Pingarelli. Anybody else? Hearing none, I do have a report. I got some, I don't know if you saw, but our former board member, Charlie Ellis, took his class out, and it was covered by Channel 10 and Channel, I think, 15. So I will send those links out. It was kind of fun to see a former board member, now an instructor in construction at, I think, Northeast Campus, right? Out there doing something with the veterans, and it was covered by the media. So I think Chris Cook also helped round that up for him. So that's kind of fun to see West-MEC on TV and former board members, so somebody near and dear to our heart. Not that everybody else isn't, but somebody we worked with every month. So I'll send those links out if you are all interested. And that's really anything else, any board members? All right. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval unless somebody has something to be pulled.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right. I will then call for the question because it's something we can't discuss. All in favor of the consent agenda as approved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, then let's move on to, thank you everyone, on to item number 9, call to the public. I do have a name here and I'm having trouble reading it, so I'm going to guess America Seeger. From Patterson, if you'd like to come address the board.
Superintendents Tracker, Board, Superintendent Donovan. My name is America Seeger, Career Services Coach at the Northwest Campus. So this is like the perfect meeting for me to be here because of all that was discussed. So I have some comments that I was going to bring up to you guys. So I worked in career services for 10 years, the last 4 years here at West-MEC. My job is to stay on top of industry trends. You guys are aware of the industry is changing. Employers are seeking our students in high demand left and right. We cannot provide candidates fast enough for this workforce. It's a good problem to have. I used to work in 2008 to 2011 with employment services. That was a very difficult time to get people employed. At At West-MEC, we play a critical role in getting our students ready for the workforce. Teachers and staff together work to prepare our workforce. The past 2 years have been challenging, to say the least. We have not wavered in our dedication to our students, regardless how difficult it has been. Parents, students, and the board should be grateful for our staff's dedication to our students, as we know it has not been the same for all students across other districts. Our students have been lucky to have us. Our dedication has paid off. Our students know that we love them. We are dedicated to them, we care about them, we want them to succeed in their learning, we are invested in their success. As a governing board, can you say the same for our students? How do you show them that you're invested in them? Here's an idea: by investing in staff. We've discussed it before already in this earlier meeting. I appreciate you guys you're really interested in this topic, so I appreciate that. Let me see, I kind of have to change my little talking points a little bit because things have changed. Let's see, sorry. What has the governing board focus been this last year? This year, have you been working on improving West-MEC students, improving West-MEC for students and staff, or have you been championing your own personal agendas? I think we know the answer. If your focus is on our students in the workforce, you need to prioritize staff, because again, without staff, these students wouldn't be here. Sorry, I had to change this up a little bit. So here's a question for you guys may be asking. Why are staff leaving? If the workforce is looking for entry-level techs, what do you think they think of experienced people, experienced professionals? Mrs. Wiley participated in the think tank, and you will see in the think tank, it's not the 20 to 35-year-olds who are changing. That's typical. Right now, it's the 45 to 55-year-olds who are changing work, because there's more opportunity for them, and employers are looking for us as well. So hopefully, you consider that. And it's not just pay, it's support. I know you talked to the administrators, and I think they're amazing. They actually presented themselves very well, what employers are looking for. But if you ask my colleagues, they would say it's not just pay. Providing us support. When I first started West-MEC, I had 9 teachers and I think 7 programs. I now have 16 teachers and 13 programs. My limit, I'm limited, I'm done. You're no longer gonna pay me any more next year, but you've added to my workload. Teachers probably feel the same. How about considering adding a CTSO officer for the cohort? How about an administrative assistant for the teachers? An externship coordinator for the teachers? Taking some work off of them might help them stay longer, because we do have a passion for education. We want to be here, but you are now not only limiting us in pay, you're giving us more work. So sorry, let me get back to this. So I'll skip over that. I would say, because you guys seem that you are listening to what people are saying, there is a great article by fastcompany.com that says, how do you save your employee who already has one foot out the door? It's listen to them. Please poll your employees. Please poll the staff here. Let them tell you what they need. It may not be the ranges that you're looking at. It may not be money. It could be work-life balance. It could be support, and that's what they're looking for. I will tell you on a personal note, I had an interview today myself. I was interviewing for a nonprofit for the similar role that I'm doing now as a career coach, but they actually looked at me for 2 roles, a career facilitator, which is what I do here at West-MEC. They offered me $18,000 extra than the top of the range here. I love West-MEC. I love my students. I want to work here. You're giving me a little bit of hope if you're considering making some changes. But if not, obviously I have to leave because you are limiting me. And it is not fair for me to stay here, because I have a passion for the students. I also have a passion for myself and being successful in my career, and you have to look at that as well. Thank you for your time, and that's the end of my comments.
All right. Thank you. Any other call to the public? Ms. Markham, I don't have any other cards. Hearing none, we will move on to number 10. Dr. Isom.
Thank you, Board Chair Straka, member of the West-MEC Board. We're starting our second month of the second session of the 55th Legislature. We started January 10th. Arizona CTED, which again is the 14 CTEDs around the state, we have 5 initiatives this year, and I'm going to, for the record, give those House Bill numbers, which they've all been issued a number. The first is House Bill 2034, which allows CTEDs to award associate degrees. That one is being sponsored by Representative Udall out of District 25, and it advances, it was heard this week in the House Education Committee and will advance by a vote of 7-3. It's heading next to the rules. House Bill 2395 provides adult education funding that is sponsored by Representative Andrea Dunn of District 13, and that one was also heard in House Ed and passed by a vote of 8-1-1. Its next stop will be House Appropriations, then rules. House Bill 2117 increases the level of support for transporting students to and from CTED campuses, and that is being sponsored by Representative Kaiser out of District 15, and that's yet to be heard by the Education Committee. House Bill 2164 establishes a new state seal for CTE completers. Again, Representative Steve Kaiser is sponsoring that bill, and that is also yet to be heard. And the last one is House Bill 2818. It provides CTE completers with community college credit, and that's called a statewide articulation. And that bill was provided a number this past Monday and will be sponsored by Representative Judy Schweibert out of District 20. I wanted to take a moment and digress just a bit. I talked about the Adult Education Funding Initiative, and I wanted to recognize West-MEC Adult Education Director Lizette Villasame, who was joined yesterday by an adult aviation maintenance student, Samuel Cooper, and a Mr. Darrell Miller from one of our business partners at United Airlines. They conquered the daunting task of standing up in front of the Education Committee and expressing the importance of this adult education funding. And as I told you earlier, they did a bang-up job because it did pass through that committee. So I wanted to thank them for taking the time to go down to our Capitol. The next item I wanted to address with the board is the purchase of give you an update on the purchase of the 30 acres just to the west of our central campus. We've received the Alta survey back from the sellers, which show the Alta survey is designed to show any improvements or easements or right-of-ways that could be problematic to ownership of a land. To date, there are no known issues that have arisen that will impact our purchasing and use of the land. Our attorneys have been communicating this past month over title information, so they're going back and forth. I think they've established agreement on the language. And since our last meeting, I received the appraisal, ordered and received the appraisal for the land from Lyons Evaluation Group. Based on Mr. David Lyons' professional analysis, he values the land at about $10 million. If you recall, our purchase price is about $4.5 million. So it looks like that we made a great deal. So I'm pleased to say, and we'll continue with that process. I wanted to talk lastly about the redistricting process. A few meetings ago, I kind of gave you the numbers based on MAG's analysis of our census, and I wanted to let you know that the administration is starting that process. The administration's first step in facilitating a redistricting process will be to bring to this board at the March meeting for its consideration and adoption a set of guiding principles for redistricting. The purpose of this is so that our process will help ensure that our process meets federal and state laws. In general, West-MEC must redistrict after census. We've had the 2020 census, and with the goal of roughly equal populations within each district, among other considerations. So you can look forward to that at the next March agenda, and we'll have further discussion on it. Yes, sir.
On the redistricting, is that for the 2022 election?
Well, the redistricting process is just that. It is a process. So I think that when I present to you those guiding principles, we'll be able to get a better feel for those guidelines. But certainly we will need to hire a consultant to take us through that process and coordinate our efforts with the county. So that is going to take some time. We will try to expedite it as quickly as possible. So I can't really answer your question at this point.
No, because just 4 board members are up for re-election this time, and we kind of need to know where we need to get roughly 500 to 600 signatures to get on the ballot, and that's due like July.
What I can promise you is that we will expedite the process. I can't promise you that it'll be done by that point in time. We have received response back from our attorney.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, let Mr. Dr. Isom finish, and then you can chime in, Dr. Pingarelli. So go ahead.
Yeah, we have had our attorney review the process and answer any legal questions. We had about 2-3 legal questions that we've got clarification on. So just last week, I consider us having a green light to proceed.
Okay. Dr. Pingarelli.
Yeah, this is the redistricting process of the boards of West-MEC, our West-MEC district boundaries. That each of the board members, you represent a different district within West-MEC's boundaries. Based on the numbers that I believe I provided you just before the end of last year, I think you have one district that's significantly more, has a significantly higher population. As well, we've received clarification that districts are required to do an analysis or look at redistricting after a census. So with that, I think the clarification that we received from the board's attorney is that we do need to do a redistricting process.
And Mr. Chairman, Dr. Pingarelli, and other board members, with the addition of Gila Bend Unified School District requires some look at because we have to add that community into the system.
What was that, like 10,000 or something?
Yeah, it's not a huge population base, but the process still requires us to officially go through a process to bring them in to our system and our sub-governing board districts.
Dr. Yes. Is there a time limit on this process like it is on the leg side, or is it just, I mean, can we do this after the election, or does it have to be done before?
It's the direction that we've received is that the census triggers the need for doing so, but there's not a specific time frame, like you have to do it 6 months after the district numbers are clarified. So I think as Superintendent Donovan mentioned, and I referenced, I think it's not only the 2020 census, but when you look at our numbers as we know them, you've got one that's about, if I recall, it's about 84,000 kind of out of balance from the others.
It would be Barb's with half the state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Obviously, there needs to be a process with any district after a census, but I'm just wondering if it has to be done under the gun while people are collecting signatures or not.
No, No, and that's why it was difficult to answer his question. I don't know that we can meet the time frame for this election.
So it could take effect in 2024 is what you're saying if we just can't make the timeline.
Right. I think what I can pledge, kind of help them facilitate this, is that we will try to expedite the process. If it's the board's wish, I think we can have further discussion about that at the, when you look at the guiding principles that I'll draft. They're not things that I'm making up for you. I'm looking at best practices, and I'll bring you what I believe is a good starting point for the board to consider.
Sure, my concern is if we try to do it this year, people have to have their signs out 60 days before the general. And I don't think the time frame would work this year. Not that this is the conversation we're having right now, but.
Well, you have to qualify for, yes.
Mr. Chair.
We have Mr. Kaltenbach's on the floor, and then Dr. Pingarelli, you're next.
I have a satellite question, I guess. When does Gila Bend become part of West-MEC?
That's
First.
Okay. July 1st?
That's the push. That's the big kahuna, is where does Gila Bend lie in the 22 election process?
So we have to redistrict in a sense, if for no other reason than to just officially incorporate Gila Bend into West-MEC, right?
Yes.
And if we add them to the contiguous piece, which is Barbara's, it's gonna be a little more skewed than it was.
But it's still a lot of vacant land.
Yeah, I know.
So-
Yeah, so square miles per person is the other way. But, but we still have to go through that process just to incorporate them. Whether or not we go and move our boundaries, we still have to do that bit. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, you are, and it could be a two-step process that we could expedite getting Gila Bend in so that they have representation and become part of District 4, and then the larger process over a period of the next 6 to 9 months to reevaluate all of the boundaries of the full 7 sub-districts.
And I'll go out there and I'll welcome Gila Bend.
We expect you to cover that whole area.
It does, I'm not running this year, but thank God.
We're concerned too. We're concerned too. We have to answer to the Gila Bend question, and yet the law requires us without, as our current understanding, a current time frame requirement, but we need to go through the process. It's relevant. And Mr. Straka, you made a comment, there's about 4 being up for election. We believe it's 3. It's District 7, your district, District 3, Mr. Kaltenbach's, and District 1, Mr. Ramirez's, are the 3 up in 22.
Well, it's pretty difficult enough to run for office, but to have ambiguity and confusion at the same time.
Oh, Dr. Pingarelli, you were next.
Mr. Chairman, just to add a little fuel to this fire. Dr. Pingarelli suggested we reach out to the county superintendent or county board of supervisors. We have been in contact with the county superintendent, and at this point, they're not, they're looking for direction from us, but the entanglement is we cross county lines. So now you got two counties involved, and many of the CTEDs across the state have multiple counties. And as we both were in a meeting last week, most of the counties go, we don't know what to do, because the minute you incorporate more than one county into this discussion, who has jurisdiction? As you recall, last year, we incorporated the great area of the former Walnut Grove Elementary, and those things which are in Yavapai County. Now, that doesn't particularly do anything to numbers, but it's still part of the process. And we had Yavapai County anyway, we always have, because Wickenburg Unified has always, since they joined in 2004, had land mass in Yavapai County. So I mean, it's not new, but it has always been problematic, because counties do not talk to each other.
So right now, Gila Bend, can their students come to our schools?
After July 1.
After July 1.
And we don't have to do anything specific between now and July 1?
We have to get an IGA in place. And we do have to incorporate them into our governance system.
Do we need a temporary IGA just to get them to July 1st?
We're okay. That's in process.
All right, well, we're kind of getting off topic here. Let's,
Well, I will do my best not to further complicate it.
we appreciate that.
I think the guiding principles will be a good start. It'll give you a good overview, give us some boundaries to work within, and we'll work to get this done. So if there are no other questions, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Royce, I've got one more
Yes.
question. We need another work study session like a root canal, but I heard you bring up the topic of CTE transportation. Is there any iota of possibility the legislature would give us money for transportation?
The way it's drafted right now, I hate to admit it, these things, but sometimes I drafted that one, and I drafted a couple of our
Oh, you
initiatives.
did?
Yeah. But the way it's drafted right now is a simplistic approach that, right now, transportation dollars to and from CTE and CTE-related transportation is viewed as a field trip and funded at a field trip level. What we endeavored to do with the adjustment this year was to make the adjustment so that transportation to and from CTE is treated like regular route miles for satellite district. In other words, right now, there's a differentiated rate that satellites are paid for transporting a child from their home to the school. And then if they were going to endeavor to transport them to the CTE, it's only paid and can be claimed at a lower rate of a field trip. So we're trying to recategorize that transportation from that satellite school to our central campus so that our satellites can achieve the same funding level.
Thank you. Well, the reason I brought that up, I remember a number of years ago that we were going to look at the
We did look at it,
Yeah, but we didn't.
and we said no.
For them.
Yeah, it was
But I also
ridiculously
thought
priced.
we were going to look down the road to see what we thought was best. And I was just worried about, rather than the state come up with a solution, we had our administrative team look at it with solutions, that's all. Sorry to bring it up.
No, that's fine. The
Mr.
legislative
Kalmbach.
process gets involved and it may adjust from there. Right now, transportation, we're working with Representative Udall, who chairs the Education Committee. We're working to explain and garner her support on transportation as well as the seal. So those are two that we're working on through this process.
Dr. Harrison,
Yes, sir.
and I apologize, I haven't read the bill yet, but, so in the legislation, the idea is that DICERT would get extra money to run a bus to the West-MEC campuses, and that Agua Fria would get extra money to run buses to our campuses in Peoria and Glendale and so on. Is that correct?
From a simplistic approach, yeah, that's an easy
Well,
explanation.
and I laud the effort, because I think transportation still prevents some students who should be West-MEC students from applying to West-MEC Central Campus. Like, they're the ideal student, but they just don't have transportation, and so they don't apply, or they apply and then they don't make it. Like, I think we're losing a lot of kids just because of the transportation thing. But my concern is that every school district in our state right now is out of bus drivers. Like there's no field trips, there's no extra buses. My school district's canceling routes on a rotating basis. And so then kids have to walk an extra quarter mile or a half mile to get to a different route because they don't have enough bus drivers. And that's every West Valley school district doesn't have bus drivers. So just because the state's gonna pay a route fee, that doesn't fix every one of our satellite districts don't have a bus driver problem. So I appreciate what you're doing. I don't know that gets kids to us, or then that creates a new problem because, right? So let's say my district, Peoria, dedicates a bus to take kids to Central Campus for the aviation program. And then on Thursday, Peoria says, well, we don't have a bus driver, so we're not gonna run the route. So now all of a sudden you got a whole class of kids that didn't make their hours, and then we gotta do makeup time, and it could, if the statewide bus driver thing doesn't get fixed, I think we gotta.
I would agree with everything you said. This is just looking at the route miles from the satellite to CTEs. There is a larger problem that I believe is being addressed with the legislation with funding overall. So I would agree with everything that you said.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right. We're now down to number 11, one of the board's favorite things. We have Buckeye here this month. And I would like to invite Mike New, and to come forward, and some students as well.
Yes, Mike New, Buckeye, CTE Director. By the way, you were talking about transportation. Buckeye's found a way to transport kids to West-MEC in the mornings. So we have we're transporting maybe 12 to 15 kids. We actually pick them up from their house and drive them to the Southwest campus, and then drive them back to their campus. And we actually are taking a handful, just a couple of kids, to the 1 o'clock session. And then their parents pick them up from there. So we've been able to do it, but it works into our transportation schedule. Plus, we have a learning center right next to the Southwest campus. So I thought I'd start with that. So, since I have a I guess I have the clicker. I had to advocate for CTE because that seems to be what I do daily. And I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but I know we have a couple new board members and all that stuff. I firmly believe CTE is the answer. I mean, you heard it with what happened with your accreditation. That's CTE. I mean, that is CTE. The kids get it. It's application education. I mean, to be honest with you, we're in a broken system. Education's very different than when we were when we were in school. It's antiquated. I mean, we're in a new industrial revolution. Kids need skills desperately. They don't need knowledge anymore. I tell the kids all the time, and parents and teachers, they have more knowledge in this phone than they ever need. Like when we were in high school, we needed knowledge. These kids are in dire need of skills. Not only skills, they graduate high school lost. There's no plan. They don't know what they want to do. Not CTE kids. CTE kids have some sort of direction. They have some sort of direction. They have some sort of path. And kids can figure it out through CTE. And it's the West-MECs, and it's our satellite programs. It's incredible what we're doing in education. It truly is the answer. And you guys are sitting at the forefront of it. And you're the gatekeepers of this whole educational system. And you should be proud of where you're sitting and being part of this. Because you guys are doing some fabulous, fabulous things. With our partnership with CTEDs and the satellites, I put JTEDs up there because yes, it was a joint technical education district. Just that funding source that you guys are getting from the satellite programs has just allowed CTE to grow tremendously. And I think the big thing is the more the satellites grow in CTE, the more the CTED grows in CTE because of the way the funding's set up. And there's a gentleman in the room that we have to thank because he brought this to the West Valley. And it's Greg. And he's, 20 years of bringing CTE to the forefront and making CTE the answer. We should all be thankful for what he's done for us. And I go back a fairly long time with Greg. Again, CTE is the answer. Thanks for what you guys do. I'll give you a quick state of Buckeye. Buckeye's a medium-sized district. It's about 5,200 students, but I'll tell you what, CTE is huge in Buckeye. The mayor of Buckeye and the council just did, February 1st, they did a proclamation and they declared CTE month in the city of Buckeye. So that's Mayor Osborne. He signed a proclamation, kind of a cool evening for us. 17, as you guys could read, we have 17 different programs at our 3 high schools. We have 32 teachers, myself, my career pathway coordinator, and a CTE data specialist. Again, 5,200 students or so. I left you guys a handout too of all the programs we have, and they fit into career clusters. We firmly believe that a kid could figure out his career pathway, not career. We think they could figure out, do they really want to do medical? Do they really want to do manufacturing, construction? They can figure that out and just be so far ahead of everyone else in this. So 12 programs at Buckeye High School fit into 16 of the career clusters. At Estrella, Foothills, we have 10 programs there. 10 different career pathways a kid could try to figure out life while he's in high school. And they fit into 12 career clusters. And then Yonker, we have 10 different CTE programs that fit into 15 career clusters. Kids can figure it out in high school. They can get these skills in high school. That's the answer to high school. It's what we all have to do. because of this joint venture that we have going, so we've really been able to enhance CTE at the local campuses, the satellites. So I showed you all the programs. So what we did a few years ago is we brought on medical assisting. You guys are packed with medical, you're gonna hear your medical assisting and hosted kids speak. You guys are packed at your central campus. So we said, well, we'll create our own and still work with you, because we still have kids that go to West-MEC. So we started medical assisting at Yonker, and this is Christina Williams. She started it, this is year 4 for her, and we started it 3 years ago, so year 3 at Buckeye, and this is Caitlin Patterson. And then we started it last year at Estrella Foothills High School. So we're gonna go through a few things with you. Christine, you got that one?
Okay, so first, thanks for having me here. Our students get certified through NHA, and when they complete level 1 and level 2, they are eligible to sit for this exam. So when they graduate from high school, they will be certified medical assistants. Right now, we have 87 students enrolled, and this is the first year of this certification, so we'll let you know how that goes. But we're really hopeful, and the kids seem to really like the course. It's part online, where they can do instruction on their own, at home, wherever they're at. And then in the classroom, we obviously do the hands-on skills, so it's a good program.
Story of this one. So our medical assisting teacher from Estrella couldn't make it. Her name is Shamanique Burton. Fantastic. It's her second year. Imagine being a first-year teacher during COVID last year. And then she came back in year 2. But check this out. She had an early graduate. We're on block schedule. So we have first semester kids, and then we have a new set of kids second semester. So she had an early graduate, Jordan Horton. She was with her level 1 last year during COVID now. Last year during COVID for level 1, and then took level 2 first semester this year, and she graduated early. She graduated in December. Well, listen to this. Jordan Horton is an early graduate. She passed the NHA Medical Administrative Assistant and Clinical Medical Administrative Assistant. She passed her exam on a Thursday for her nationwide certification. The following week, she got a job as a medical assistant at Medical Evals, which is a medical clinic for military vets. So she got a job within 4 days of passing that test. And she's an early graduate, and that's what she's doing.
That's cool.
CTE is the answer, by the way. I don't know if I told you that. Okay.
Thank you for having me. Like Christina was saying, when the students do their NHA to get their certifications, we do lots of hands-on, and these are just a few of the things that we do. EKGs, injections, coding, we do a lot of the office stuff, vision testing, urine analysis. My students love the phlebotomy and the CPR. They are first aid certified. They like using the machines, the autoclaves and the centrifuges. It's all cool stuff that we get to do with them as part of their certifications.
So you have them for 2 years, is it just 2 semesters, or is that both semesters for 2 years?
2 semesters.
Just 2 semesters, okay, thank
Well,
you.
some of it,
Yeah.
you're on block 2. Same.
Right, they were saying 2 years, so I was like,
Yeah.
we have some classes that do the 4, yeah, okay, thank you.
We call them a semester in here, yeah.
Because it's a double.
So they only have it for the fall or the spring.
So I'm supposed to give you just a little back information about me. I've been a nurse for 18 years, so I was in the industry before I came here. And then I did some school nursing, and I was in the school, and that's when Mike came to me and was like, hey, we're gonna start this medical assisting program, would you like to do it? Sure, why not? Okay, so that's how I got to where I am now. And here's a few slides from,
I'm gonna butt in though. So when COVID started and we shut the world down, tell them what you did.
I was just one of those that volunteered to help, and I went to New Orleans for about a month and worked over there.
In the very beginning of COVID.
Yeah, half of us went to New York and half of us went to New Orleans, so it was very interesting, we'll say that. Very sad, but very interesting situation that I'll definitely never forget. But okay, so this is my classroom. You can see I have a very large classroom, but you can see some of the equipment that you guys generously helped us purchase that my kids use every day, so I greatly appreciate it. But I have a very large classroom, plenty of space for the kids, all the equipment I need, so we're pretty happy in there. And then these are just some of the CTSO events that our classes participate in, which is very similar to all the West-MEC stuff that you guys do. But officer training, the leadership conferences, SLC, ILC, we do blood drives, food drives, guest speakers, all of that. We get our kids involved in the community, in the schools, as much as we can.
Like Mike said, I'm Caitlin Patterson. I do the medical assisting at Buckeye High School. I myself am a graduate from Buckeye High School in 2014, so to be back, it's really cool. It's weird, but it's cool. This is my classroom, which is crazy because when I went to school, it was my math classroom. But you could see I have like this, different than Christina's. I have a classroom and then I have a small room to this side that's kind of set up like a clinic area. So I have 2 exam beds, and then the cabinets and all of their supplies. And then in another little corner I have my scales and whatnot, and then where you see my desks, that's separate, and that's my classroom area. These are, like Christina said, we do the same CTSO events. So this bottom picture here was at Fall Leadership. We hosted a blood drive. My students were taking vitals on our staff members. I had students compete in regionals and state testing, and we are going to state down in Tucson in March. And we do blood drives, like I said, the awards, food drives, and lots of community service.
I left my card with you guys too. I love visitors. I'll take you guys around our campuses and show you our programs and the number of programs. It's great. You'll love it. And I'd love to have you anytime, by the way.
Do the majority of the students that you're working with go on to be medical assistants, or do they go on to college?
We don't know yet.
So,
Just because we're very new, and once COVID hit, that kind of just shut us down per se for the certifications. And this is a new certification to us, so we're not going to know for maybe a year or so.
And what brought you out of nursing to do this?
I had twins, and I couldn't afford a babysitter, so I got back on like the school schedule, so I was off when they were off, and that's why. Kids are expensive.
Caitlin didn't say it. She's been a medical assistant.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I was a medical assistant for 5 years. I'm sorry. I worked at this clinic for 2 years, and then I ran that same clinic for 3 years, and then Christina had reached out to me about a nursing position at the high school, which then COVID came, shut the schools down, so I stayed at the clinic all through COVID, and then Mike and Christina reached out to me about this teaching position. Sorry.
And then our teacher that's not here, she was the school nurse. She has a medical background. She was in the hospitals, and I kind of stole her from the nurse. By the way, I've been stealing the IT techs to be our coding teachers.
So how do you get people from industry to be successful? Because in our previous discussion earlier today, a lot of people who've come out of industry can't make it as a teacher, or it's too hard. So how do you make it successful?
Support, a lot of support. To be on campus with them all the time, to have an instructional specialist with them, and the principals they just know. They just know, like, that, you know, these teachers might need a little more grace, you know, and you can't just be, you know, hard on them, and you gotta take care of them. You gotta take care of them.
Teaching is an art, and like some people got it and some people don't. But I think Mr. Parsons mentioned the iceberg thing, right? So just about everybody went to school at some point in their life, right? And they're like, oh, I can do what that teacher did, and they're just seeing that top of the iceberg. But then you get there and you're like, oh wait, there's a lot more. And so sometimes you don't know. There might be a great candidate. I can guarantee you've hired 3 or 4 that look great on paper, spoke great. They got in there and they're like, this is not for me. And so you didn't keep them. But you get a good one, or 2, or 7, or 20, and their heart's in the right spot, and it's working for them. And there's just some rough edges. You can work on that. And those are the ones you try to keep around. And I know that we do that at West-MEC, right? All of our training and all that. And I don't know if the board knows, but West-MEC trains just about all the teachers in the West Valley. You guys took West-MEC classes, right? Yeah, see, like almost every new CTE teacher in the whole West Valley is taking West-MEC training classes, right? And so, like, West-MEC's leading the way the whole way, but you still, even with all that, every once in a while, there's just somebody it just doesn't click for. And it's only a deranged few members of our society that can be a teacher and go home smiling every day. But those of us who do, like, it's awesome. But if it's not for you, then it's really not for you.
But to know that you're teaching kids such a necessary skill to be successful in life, and to give them that career pathway and that passion while they're in high school is just tremendous. And yes, it's Joel's professional development program that we've gone through to do a lot of the training. A little bit more with the Straightfoot Hills High School. Again, only the 2nd year of existence. So Barbara, to answer, yeah, it's too new. It's too new to have any data on what's happening. So I truly do thank you for your support and what you guys are doing. One, to be a board member that's part sainthood, doing that. But to be part of this CTE thing, you're in good hands. It's a great place to be. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just make a comment? You know, CTE is alive and well in Buckeye because Mr. New is the Greg Donovan of Buckeye. And these 2 young ladies, I'd watch out, the footsteps might be right behind you, could be CTE directors in future from their presentations.
I'm getting old anyways. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a hosted chapter presentation, and I'm not going to read all the names, but whoever wants to lead off, introduce yourself and bring the team.
Governing Board, Mr. Donovan, Chairman Straka. This is L.A. Akro and Edley Montoya. My name is Danielle Wensler. I'm the 1-year medical assisting instructor at Northeast Campus. This is my 7th year teaching at West-MEC. I come from post-secondary and a medical assisting background. One of the things that teachers strive to be is highly effective. And one of those parameters to fit highly effective means that it has to be a student-led classroom. I have a problem giving up control.
Don't we all?
It's true. And this year, these two ladies came into my program and have just lit my HOSA world on fire. They have so much dedication and passion and have led my chapter this year to what they want to be a gold chapter. They both have aspirations of running for state office down in Tucson in March. So I'm gonna give them the floor and let you tell them all the cool things we're doing. While they're on the floor, I will, in teacher fashion, give you a newsletter and you can take one and pass one. And I'll give them the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Winslow. Good afternoon, everyone. Here from the one-year medical assisting campus at Northeast, my name is Ala Akram, and standing near me is my longtime friend, Edley Montoya, also an aspiring medical professional and Host Chapter Officer in Arms. Thank you so much for having us here today. It is both an honor and privilege to be sharing with you our experience with an organization that has taught us so much these past few years.
HOSA, is short for Health Occupation Students of America, has truly had an influential part of my journey. My journey first started my freshman year when I saw an announcement about this club for those interested in the health career field. That's when I knew that I wanted to be part of this club, so I joined. So I would go to meetings. My journey didn't really happen until my junior year when I was elected as vice president for my CTE program back at my high school. There I got to hold meetings and events. I have been part of many clubs, including DECA, NHS, and Key Club, but I feel that HOSA has provided me the most opportunities. One of these being the Fall Leadership Conference when we went down to downtown, and I got to see how truly united this club really was.
My experience would be quite similar. I first showed up to a meeting as a freshman too, and I remember being in shock with the way the officers in their suits were engaging with their chapter, being so efficient, outspoken, and just so involved within their community. I knew right then and there that HOSA is the organization that I would commit to. Once I became a junior, my involvement peaked as I qualified to compete in state competitions for a competition that's known as Human Growth and Development. This is a knowledge-based test that would test me on my knowledge of the human lifespan. It was such an empowering experience because while still being online and being so distant from the usual clubs that we got to be a part of at school, HOSA gave me the opportunity to still volunteer through card making, compete, and just feel so involved in my community.
Fast forward now, we are seniors given the wonderful opportunity to be part of the medical assisting program here at West-MEC. Lo and behold, me and Ale found ourselves being the only previous students with experience in HOSA, in an organization that West-MEC happened to be a part of. So we were pleased by this opportunity, the chance to step up, succeed, and be the leaders that we always expected to be. After all, HOSA is a student-led organization, so we ran for office of positions. Me being the two-time vice president, I was able to truly engage with my chapter members on a more personal level.
And me, the secretary, being the chapter's organizer, planner, and communications coordinator. Edley and I, along with our wonderful officer team and our wonderful advisor, Ms. Winsler, would be able to begin our mission. Be the most effective and transparent leaders while developing an involved and successful chapter. We had the honor of introducing HOSA to our classmates, informing them about our mission statement, empower HOSA members to become leaders in the global health community through education, collaboration, and experience.
And educating, collaborating, and experiencing we did. Finally, being back in person, we were able to start with some fundraisers, some of these being our sweatshirt fundraisers, World's Finest Chocolate, and homemade hot chocolate bombs. These fundraisers were just the start of what we were going to get to do. These fundraisers were a great act of initiative, but we wanted to get back out there and make a difference in our communities. So with the help of some collective polls, we gathered the most endearing nonprofits to our members and began volunteering. Our time was spent with helping out on multiple blood drives, providing hygienic supplies through a nonprofit for some Christmas operations, and participating in cleanups, along with participating in the nonprofit Feed My Starving Children.
These endeavors only provide a tiny glimpse into the passion that our chapter truly upholds. Within the coming months, we are preparing to send off a record-breaking 20 members to state competitions, myself competing in the medical reading competition, and Edley, who along with our historian Emma, placed second in the region for the healthcare display competition. We also plan on attaining the Gold Chapter Recognition Award given to outstanding chapters like ours, and individual member awards, including the highest, Platinum and Gold, and the Barbara James Service Award for those highly motivated members who've achieved at least 100 hours of community service. With so much passion left to give, me and Edley are so excited to announce that we will be running for state office. We hope to be two of the 7 amazing individuals who have the opportunity to represent AZ HOSA. But it doesn't just end with us. We have so many chapter members who are just as motivated who have found so much newfound confidence and are looking forward to go on to college and join the collegiate level.
Thank you all so much for allowing us this opportunity to continue our mission of educating, expressing, and showcasing our love for HOSA. Along with sharing our endearing experiences, we also wanted to uphold our promise by representing the voice of our chapters in what we have done this year. So we provided the newsletters, which contain quotes from our members and pictures of what we have done. And again, thank you guys all so much for listening to us.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, what was your home schools?
Paradise Valley High School.
Yes, we both went to
And what programs were you guys in HOSA in there?
So I was in the STEM program, CREST.
Okay.
And then I was part of the Pathways and was going to go on to the CNA program there.
Great, thank you very much, that was awesome.
Thank you.
How long did you guys practice, how much did you practice your speech?
Yeah, hands down, over 7 or 8 years, one of the best presentations yet, and it shows that you worked on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. About a week, but.
So, and the only reason I'll share that, a great delivery. And
Yes.
you're too young to remember, but there was a guy, Mario Cuomo, the previous governor's of New York's father. He gave the keynote speech to the Democratic National Convention in 1992. He practiced his speech 40 hours in a mirror. The result of that was, if Bill Clinton lost the 92 election, he would have been the front runner for president in 96 because he delivered such a great speech. You guys did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Preparation really makes a difference. Good job.
That really means a lot. Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
And I hope you enjoy those newsletters because it really shows like in picture what we have done with our HOSA chapter
I'll
this
just
year.
echo my colleagues here. What a fantastic presentation and delivery. I like polish. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so
Good
much.
luck in your election.
We may be all working for you.
I have a question about the community service hours. Did you all do 100 hours of community service?
A lot of our members are aiming. I know I'm aiming for the award.
I am too, and then we have a lot of other people who are aiming. That's like
Probably out of the 30 students, I would say.
About a good 7 or 9 of them.
Yeah.
I feel like most of it is being online so long. We want to be out there helping out the community, especially since we're health career professionals. We want to be out there helping the community.
And which of you, shout out to the Key Club, which of you is a Key Club member?
Me.
Yeah, so was I in high school? Oh, that's great. Good to hear, yeah. Nice, good job.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, we're now moving on to item number 13. Troy Gatto.
Oh, we got 3 more.
Sorry.
We know after that, there's not much left to solve. Good evening, Chairperson Tracker, governing board members, Superintendent Donovan. First and foremost, happy CTE month. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for your service. Thank you for the opportunities that you help provide our students, especially on a month like tonight, or a month like this month. My name is Trevor Rice. I'm the PT instructor at the Southwest campus and the HOSA advisor. Last year I had the distinct honor of standing in front of you as a first-year program in physical therapy. And tonight I'm here to kind of share some of the success and share some of our next generation of students. Tonight I'm happy to report with you that we crushed it last year. We absolutely crushed it. Going on to the next slide. Last year in the state of Arizona, there were 4 chapters that received the Gold Level Chapter Award for HOSA. 2 of those chapters were our physical therapy chapters at the Southwest campus. We also, with completers, we had 2 completers as current HOSA advisors. I'm nervous. We had 2 Arizona HOSA officers. Both of those officers came from our chapter at the Southwest campus. And as a side note, we currently have 3 total West-MEC students serving as Arizona HOSA officers this year. So I think that's some kudos there as well. 85% pass rate as a PTTC certification. So as a first year, not really knowing what we're getting ourselves into, we're super happy with that pass rate, and that will only continue to go up as we get more used to our certification. Over 900 hours of community service. We have 45 total students in the program. Each person in the program is required to do 20 hours of community service. And as the ladies will talk about tonight, we're going to push that just a little bit further as well. So I'm going to stop stuttering and stumbling on my feet and let you talk to who you want to talk to tonight, which is our two officers. So thank you.
Which button did you press?
The down button.
Okay.
We didn't show. We forgot to show you our hardware to prove it as well. So this is this was the hard work that they did last year. So we're going to add another one to this, and then several more.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jillian Gonzalez. I am a 5th year. I have recently just graduated high school. I got the opportunity to go to West-MEC as not a senior, but going into college, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I am in a HOSA activities committee. I'm in HOSA activities committee, sorry. I'm the chapter president, and I currently work as a physical therapy technician thanks to West-MEC. They have showed me what I needed to do. They have prepped me. Like today, we did mock interviews, so that was amazing. It helped me show what I needed to wear, what I needed to say, and yeah, that got me to where I am today.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Murphy. I'm a junior in homeschool. I'm a chapter treasurer and a part of the fundraising committee.
So our goals for this year is to share our experience as becoming tech. So meaning Elizabeth right now, she is an upcoming tech, saying me and her both are at the end of the year going to take our final testing to get our certification as techs. And after West-MEC, and we get that, we go out into the real world, get everything we learned there, and we push it out, see what we can do, and all of that. Our HOSA chapter will obtain all 3 chapter awards by State Leadership Conference on 2021 to 2022, bronze, silver, and gold. We will collaborate and build relationships with other HOSA chapters on campus at least twice a semester to build new partnerships. Like we have collaborated with dentists to do I think it's hygiene drive. Hygiene drive, we collect everything we can and we bring it out to the world. Just like how we did a spooner drive, my work and our school have made food. We have collected food, more hygiene, clothing, gifts for Christmas. We gave it to people that weren't able to do that, so we got to do that as well. During 2021 and 2022 school year, our HOSA chapter will perform at least 900 hours of community service.
This year was met with adversity, but together we gained new opportunities.
That's just a copy of our program of work.
Community service, we have done St. Mary's Food Bank Drive for volunteering. We have collected over 1,000 items. We served a Tonopah High School food drive. We worked with Project Smile with the dental program, like we said. We did Project Cure internationally. We did Homeless Youth Connection. For that, we went to the actual the Homeless Youth Connection, and we did, not stalking, but inventory. We brought everything out. We counted all the supplies, all the hygiene stuff, all the clothing, seeing how much we were able to give out. We also done St. Jude's Children's Hospital greeting cards, and we sent them out.
HOSA activities include HOSA Week, Palo Verde 8th grade partnership, HOSA Flex and West-MEC Southwest Conference, AZ HOSA State Officer Visit, GCU and GCC Field Trip, High School Heroes Challenge, and Be the Match Service Project.
For HOSA activities, for our GCU trip, we're actually going to see a cadaver lab there, so that will be interesting, which is a great opportunity to us look into the body and actually see what kind of parts we get to actually play with. Well, not play with, you mean, exercise, sorry. We get to, you know what I mean, okay?
many ways. We get to help improve others, their muscles, their skeletons, everything like that. That's what I meant, okay? Our goals and actions. All 45 HOSA members will be performing 20 hours. Every person will perform 10 hours first semester and then another 10 hours second semester, and that comes out together for 20 hours. Elizabeth, you've actually did how many hours so far?
Right now, I've done over 200 hours, and my goal is 400 by May.
So hopefully we can get over at least 900 with thanks to Elizabeth. All 45 members will be applying to AZ HOSA scholarships. I am taking that role currently. I'm trying to figure out how it will be fun and interactive, how we can all do it together, and it's not just a piece of paper and they're just like, what is this? I don't know what this is. I'm scared to put my name on it. So I'm trying to figure out how that could be fun. All 25 members are qualified for SLC. 3 members pre-qualified for international competition.
Our HOSA chapter will obtain all 3 chapter awards by State Leadership Conference for the 2021-2022 school year, bronze, silver, and gold. We will collaborate and build relationships with our other HOSA chapters on campus at least twice a semester to build new partnerships. During the 2021-2022 school year, a HOSA chapter will perform at least 900 hours of community service.
I think we put that on twice. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Good job, Ms. Wiley.
Take me back to when you decided to even get involved in this. How did you find out about it, and what intrigued you to get involved?
Like intrigued into West-MEC and how I wanted to be into it. So actually my friend Maddie, she's in the vet program, but she was able to do it before COVID hit, and I got to see what they got to do and actually interact with dogs, and she showed me around the, not clinic, but the vet area. So I was like, maybe I want to do that. But like going after high school, I was scared to go to college. I have all these scholarships, but I don't know what to do with them. And I was willing to pay the money to try different things. I wanted to do nursing, and then I wanted to be in trauma, and then I wanted to be a surgeon. And I'm like, well, I don't want to keep jumping, so I found something that is hands-on, something I can actually go to different colleges and look around. They can tell me what they do. They will show me cadavers. They will show me clinics. Mr. Rice was actually helpful with West-MEC. I came to him. I was in Walmart for 2 years and I did not like it. I came to him and I was like, I really love physical therapy. I want to get more into it. I actually want to be an occupational therapist assistant because I love kids. I love working with kids. He was able to show me what kind of physical therapy programs were actually accepting people. I'm the only oldest one that is able in our program to actually go into jobs and being able to take what I can from work and bring it to West-MEC. So me and Mr. Rice always collaborate a lot. So every time he's like, well, what did you learn at work? I'd be like, oh, I learned gait. And I learned gait belts. It's kind of what you put around a patient. You hold them right behind and say, you can look at this picture right here. You see little stairs. And I would teach a patient or a little kid how to walk again, how to go, how to step up, how to step down. We can do exercises. We can just play around with it. He was actually very helpful with that, so thank you to him.
She's in such a unique position that she gets to go do her job in the morning, and then she gets to come to class in the afternoon, and she gets to share not only with me, but with all the other students, you know, what we're learning in class is something that you're going to use when you're in the clinic. So it's a great reinforcer, and she's just in such a unique position. It's been, for me as a teacher, I've never been in that position to have a student that's currently working it. So it's been great for me as an instructor because it pulls a little piece of accountability to me as well. So it's been really awesome.
That's great.
And for me, physical therapy is all about helping other people and helping them heal, which is what I'm passionate about. That's why I volunteer almost every day, every week. And West-MEC gives me the opportunity to put my foot in the door.
How did you find out about West-MEC?
How did I find out? Well, I used to go to Verona High School, and there was a lot of kids that I was friends with that went to West-MEC, and that's how I found out.
Mr. Chair, just a comment. You know, the future of our country is great with young folks like we have here tonight. We don't have a thing to worry about. I think you could sell igloos to the Eskimos a second time, and they'd be glad to get them back. But I do have a question for the other gal. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Elizabeth, thank you. What prompted you to want to give beyond the 20 hours ago $200? What was behind that?
You know, I really feel like it was put on my heart to help other people, and what better yet to volunteer and give my time to other people.
Thank you for doing that.
Any other questions?
Good job on the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. For the second time, they'd be glad to get them back.
Good evening, Chair Straka, Superintendent Donovan, and the governing board. I'm here to introduce my HOSA officers. My name is Dottie Whitman. I'm the dental assisting instructor at the Southwest campus. I'll give them the floor.
All right. Hello, good evening to my fellow board members. My name is Marissa Fragoso, and I am the HOSA president for Chapter 39450 in the Dental Assisting Program, and I am also speaking in behalf of Chapter 39449. I would like to announce exciting updates on the recent HOSA regional and online testing competition. I am pleased to announce that our chapter, along with Chapter 39449, has successfully qualified to attend the State Leadership Conference this March. We have a total of 16 out of 41 HOSA members attending, and me and my fellow officer, Judith Macias, have placed first place in the career display, and then third place for the public service announcement for Region 2. We will also be competing in the dental science, dental terminology events. Our goal is to win the State Leadership Conference so that we may not only represent West-MEC, but also the entire state of Arizona at the International Leadership Conference this summer in Tennessee. Please send us your positive thoughts as we complete. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Judith Macias, and I'm the HOSA treasurer for Chapter 39450. I would like to give an update on what our community service involvement has been so far this year. These are the events that we have participated in. Our chapter volunteered at Feed My Starving Children, which we had 17,664 meals were made that day. We campaigned for Donate Life organ donation. We also volunteered at Team Smiles in Arizona Mission of Mercy. 1,147 patients were treated. We had the opportunity to be part of the Buckeye Fall Festival and was able to give joy and fun to a lot of trick-or-treaters. We also volunteered to help with Buckeye Main Street Hobo Joe dedication last September. He is Buckeye's famous statue that is finally home at Cafe 2535. And my fellow friend Marissa would like to say how many hours of volunteer work she has completed.
And I have currently completed 100 hours just this year, and last year I had completed about 50 hours.
We look forward to more events to come to end our school year. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jasmine Loiza. I'm the HOSA Vice President of Chapter 39450. I would like to inform you about our upcoming events. We have a field trip at the GCU Cadaver Lab experience on February 16th. Please come and join us for the Southwest Signature event on March 5th at the South Campus. We will be teaching oral hygiene education. There will be vendors, crafts, and car shows. On March 26th, our campus will be hosting a free dental care event in partnership with the Arizona Dental Foundation. We are volunteering again at Feed My Starving Children on April 30th. We will We would also go to help, we are also going to help Compassion Buckeye one-day health fair events to give free dental care at the Buckeye Elementary School. We are preparing and planning to end this year strong. On behalf of Chapter 39450 and 39449, we thank you for your time.
And if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, question actually, you said you're gonna provide free dental care, what does that entail?
Free dental care, we just do cleanings.
We currently don't have too much information about it so far, but we will have it soon.
We just got the news today. Tina, the current Buckeyes mayor's wife, got in touch with us. So this just happened 6 hours ago. So we said yes. We immediately said they're hosting. Yes, this just happened 6 hours ago. That's why it's on the last bullet point. But the City of Buckeye will be hosting free dental and health care at the Buckeye Elementary School. April 30th is the date. So we're trying to coordinate with Midwestern University, the Arizona Dental Foundation, but definitely all of our students will volunteer during this event. So it's free dental cleanings for children. Depending on the type of dentist volunteers that we get, we could do extractions, fillings, fluoride treatments, and usually our students do the oral hygiene instructions for the children and coronal polishing. So it's really fresh.
Young lady on the end there, what was your name again?
Marissa Fregoso.
I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it.
That's okay.
Did you say 100 hours you're at?
Yes, I am.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Thank you.
As a former Buckeye resident, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
What are you guys doing on your trip to Tennessee? Is that a competition or what is that, a conference?
Yes, so that will be our competition. If we make it past state, we will be attending Tennessee for nationals, I believe.
So it's an international leadership conference. Not only now we're representing West-MEC at the state leadership level, but once we achieve that, and we will achieve that, because we have in the past. So we then go represent the state of Arizona in the different competitions. So the competitions that we're currently are competing in would be the health career display, public service announcement, dental terminology, and dental science. Pre-COVID, we had a student represent, a West-MEC student represent the state of Arizona in the dental terminology category, and that was in Disney, Florida. So when we go to Tennessee, I promise them we'll try and look at the Hard Rock Cafe there. So.
In Tennessee?
And then we also had one more announcement. So far, we have 100% passing rate for the radiation health and safety exam from Danby.
Good job.
Good evening, Chairman Stryka, Superintendent Donovan, and the board. I'm Julie Ehrman. I'm one of the other dental assisting instructors at Southwest Campus. My students came straight from extern as they're working right now. They've both been offered jobs already while they're doing their extern. So I'm going to give the floor to them.
Good evening, Chairman Straka, Superintendent Donovan, and Governing Board. My name is Emma Spade, and I am our HOSA president, and we're going to be speaking about our two biggest volunteer events that we have attended this year. AZ MOM stands for Arizona Mission of Mercy. Their mission is to provide charitable dental care and education to Arizonans, reducing health risks and suffering for those in need. They provide free dental care and treatments for those in need. This year alone, they did $1,622,222 worth of dental care provided for free. There were many volunteers, including dentists, oral surgeons, endodontists, periodontists, hygienists, and many dental assistants. West-MEC students alone made up about 1/3 of the volunteers there, and we were able to provide lots of help needed in every area possible.
We were put with many different specialists and assisted them chairside in any ways, from the simplest cleaning to the most profound dental treatments. I was able to work enough to work alongside a very successful oral surgeon in many extractions. He taught me many different techniques when assisting doctors. One of the extractions in particular that really changed my point of view on dentistry. This lady came in with very low confidence and a very shy smile. After the full mouth extraction and hearing the news of soon to be receiving full dentures in 6 months, she was so joyful. She couldn't thank me and my surgeon enough. This made me realize dental assisting is more than just helping the doctor, but being there for the patient in a life-changing event.
All right. Good evening, Governing Board, Chairman Tracker, and Superintendent Donovan. My name is Alexis Francisco, and I'm a second-year dental science student at Southwest Campus and a senior at Tonopah Valley High School. Team Smile, created in 2007 by dentists in Kansas City, wanted to give back to this community. They provide free dental care to kids along by making it an overall great experience by including the local sports teams and members. Taking place in stadiums and arenas, the kids get to have fun while also getting dental treatments done on the same day. Medical health being one of the biggest leading problems in the world, many overlook their oral health care, when in reality, the root of many health problems is caused due to lack of oral health. The mission of Team Smiles is to help and educate children about their proper oral health through the help of sports. Schools are invited to these events completely free of charge. The same treatments that happen at a dental office are the same that are provided at these events. Education is a huge part of the program, teaching children about the importance of their eating habits along with proper oral hygiene habits. Providing lessons on how to properly brush your teeth and floss at home is crucial for these children, as it will help create these habits later at home. In the fall of 2021, the Southwest Dental Assisting Program volunteered and helped at the Team Smile event that occurred at the Gila River Arena. The students were able to educate the children and set a foundation in their knowledge of oral health, along with working aside other dentists and hygienists to provide dental care to these schools. Even participating in making it fun and enjoyable experience for these kids, helping them enjoy loving going to the dentist. It really filled me with joy when I was able to help the Spanish-speaking kids through the whole process. I enjoyed being a translator at this event because I got to be with the children through the event from beginning to end. So at the end of the day, they really looked up to you for helping them, and it made it a special when they would say thank you for all that you did that day. Thank you.
Any questions?
Did you get to really watch a whole mouth extraction?
Yes, and I helped assist, like I was just taking the teeth out when he handed them to me. It was really eye-opening, and I really like surgery now.
Really? Wow.
Do you guys have a special unit in class where you learn how to talk and listen to people who have like 6 people's hands in their mouth? Is that a special class? Like, because you talk to us and then you're like, and like, you have a class on how to learn that? Yeah? All right, this kind of grunt and, that kind of, all right, because that's always a thing.
Any other questions?
Where are you volunteering now? Like you got or did you just come from class?
So we extern in different dental offices. So I'm in a corporate one. PDS, it's Every Kid's Dentist. So I'm working there. Eventually they'll hire me. They said after I finish my 100 hours of extern, which is just hands-on, and they're teaching, and I get the shadow. So he's also doing that. So he's actually hired while doing externs.
Yeah, so I'm doing a paid externship at a pediatric office down in Buckeye as well.
And is this what you want to keep doing, or is this a stepping stone to the next thing?
We're probably going to continue our dental careers eventually.
All right.
Yes.
Nice.
So this is a foundation for us as dental assistants, so we can keep on going in the dental field to hygienists or dentists.
And we our starting pays ranges from 15 to 18, so it's just a better paying job, and West-MEC provides us that education we need for
fresh out of high school.
Yeah, fresh out of high school with just a diploma. It's really awesome.
That's awesome.
That's
great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The reason for them getting these jobs is the state radiation that the first dental group mentioned. We are at 100%. The Arizona national average is 69. The state average is 70%. I'm sorry, country, the United States. So they work very hard and done quite well. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
have one more group of
Nope,
students?
now we're on to auto.
All right.
It's going late, yeah.
Hey, everybody, again, 20 minutes.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
All right. My name is Troy Gabal. I'm the campus administrator of Southwest Campus, and our presentation today is just kind of an overview of what we've been doing at Central Campus and kind of go over some of the achievements we've had and kind of go over some of the other things that were going on campus. And the first thing I want to do is before we introduce the students here, is I wanted to thank our campus, staff, teachers, everybody who's put in all this time and effort through COVID and through everything else that's going on. Without everybody else's support, West-MEC Central Campus would be as successful as this. So it's always good to let them know, and I want to thank them for all the things that they've done for us and our campus. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce Mrs. Carr. She's our coding teacher, and I'm going to have her kind of talk to you about what their first year coding class has been doing, and she'll kind of explain to you guys what's been going on with this coding class.
Good evening, board members, Chairman Mr. Tracker and Superintendent Mr. Donovan. I'm coding first year teacher Mrs. Carr, teaching at Central Campus. We got an opportunity to redesign professional development website for West-MEC. And I'm very proudly presenting my group who has dedicatedly given their hours and passionate about doing it. So they are going to present here. I would like to introduce them. Juan, Robert, they were acted like as a web designer, graphic designer, and a web developer. Samuel one, and then Ryan McDowell. We do have a QR code. We would like you to just scan and see on your phone, see if you want.
Yeah.
One, keep in mind, if you use your phone during a public meeting, it becomes public record, everything on your phone for the entire public meeting. I keep it in your pocket.
Are you serious? Somebody's got it.
Yeah, so all your attorney-client privilege is
Attorney-client
going to be,
That's not good.
Good evening, Chairman Tracker, Superintendent Donovan, and members of the board. I would like to start off by thanking you all for giving us the opportunity to speak here. My name is Juan Vober. This is my classmates Samuel Moon and Ryan McDowell. As Ms. Carr mentioned, this past year my two colleagues and I got the opportunity to redesign the West-MEC Professional Development website. The website redesign includes a responsive design, meaning it will be able to display on all devices, from smartphones to tablets to computers. By doing this, West-MEC PD does not have to worry about creating a designated mobile website. We altered and created it so that it would be visually appealing while also keeping the functionality user-friendly. By keeping the navigation simple, the color palette reflects the West-MEC brand and is consistent throughout every page. To form an impression of credibility and professionalism in the user's minds, we used high-quality images. Some of the functionality features include keeping the login form on the same page, therefore not needing to open a new tab. We also added a hamburger menu in order to save space and keep the interface clean without removing navigational ease, especially on mobile devices. When designing the website, we used a grid-based layout to arrange the content cleanly and keep it organized and balanced. The result of doing so ensured that, in the end, what we created would be aesthetically pleasing for the user. I will now pass it on to Samuel, who will explain the development skills we've enhanced.
Good evening, respected board members. I'm Samuel Moon. I'll be talking about the web development skills that we've enhanced throughout the course of redesigning this website. First, we use Bootstrap, which is the most popular front-end open source toolkit, in order to maintain a responsive layout across all platforms. We create a mobile-first, fast-loading design that works on any device, as well as a hamburger menu to ensure navigational ease across smaller devices. We enhanced our HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge over this past year. We also redesigned the logos for OSHA 10, Think Tank, and the navigational menu. I'll now pass it on to Ryan, who will talk about the professional skills we have learned.
Good
Good evening, board members. My name is Ryan McDowell, and not only did we enhance our web development skills, but we also learned some professional skills throughout the course of working on this project. First off, working with the client was something new to all of us, and getting the correct client requirements and being able to make changes accordingly was a critical part of working on this project. Presenting a wireframe and a mock-up to the client to ensure effective implementation of the changes being made before fully committing them in the final design. Having good communication skills among the team and being comfortable asking questions when we don't necessarily understand some of the changes we are making or some of the new topics we are learning allowed us to work effectively together to finish this project. Lastly, time management was another skill that grew with us throughout the course of this project. Being able to manage our homeschool work as well as our West-MEC work and going home and finding a balance between it all while still being able to produce quality work by the set deadlines. Once again, we thank you for hearing from us today. We talked about some of the changes made to the professional development website, some of the web development skills we've enhanced, as well as some of the professional skills that we have learned. Once again, we thank you, and I'll hand it back over to Mrs. Carter.
Thank you for having us and giving us opportunity to present the hard work done by my students. And if we are open for any questions regarding the website or program.
Go ahead.
Nope. First of all, nicely done, fellas. I know coders don't love public speaking. Secondly, I'm from the 70s. Can you tell me what a hamburger menu is?
I'm trying to be from the 40s.
It's the three
It's
lines.
the 3 lines that look like a hamburger up at the top.
That makes perfect sense.
Looks like a hamburger.
Yeah. It displays the nav bar vertically for mobile devices so it doesn't stretch across.
I didn't know I had a name. Thanks, guys.
It's like a burger, like 3, like a bun.
I know exactly what it is now.
Are you Juan? Are you bored?
No.
Is this live? Because I could still send us to Juan is bored.
No, it's not. It's all right. It will.
Okay.
That's
awesome. I assume you put in a backdoor for Mrs. Carr so that she could go in and click through her PD and get more points later on. Is that a thing? No, you didn't? Oh, see?
That wasn't a requirement.
Well, maybe next year. All right. This is awesome, guys. Good job. And great job coming here. Thanks for doing
It's
that.
also interesting to see how important communication is. Like you said, you had to create stuff that you didn't understand why you were creating it, so you had to, so it's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I would just add a comment. I remember having a conversation a few years back that why don't we have our coding class do some things to enhance at West-MEC? And I think this is something, it's a great starting point, but I think there's other projects out there that you could really help West-MEC out with, the next step of stuff. So appreciate what you've done. It's pretty awesome and pretty exciting to see.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Wakefield. We're all control freaks on some level. You had to give that over to them. How was that?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Straka, members of the board. As you know, I believe in career and technical education. I knew that when I was an administrator at Central Campus, I knew the quality of the work that they did. And so I reached out. As you may well know, for over a year, we've been working with a web designer, a professional web designer, to build the back end of this system, to design it for us. And I knew the quality of the work that our students did, so I reached out to Ms. Carr, and asked her, are there some students that we could use to redesign this? And so I was the client, they were the web designers, and we went through the formal process of meeting numerous times, redesigning, beginning to understand. So what will happen from here is that the code that the gentleman created will pass it off to Braille Media, and then Braille Media will do the work to make sure it's running. So this will be a full functioning website where where you will all generate your PD Circle account, where you will register for think tanks or other events if you want to get OSHA 10 certified, where you will put your credit card in, where the revenue comes back to West-MEC. So this is a legitimate project that will benefit many. So
I think there should just I think there should always just be like a Juan is bored Easter egg somewhere. I think just somewhere, just for posterity.
So thank you.
No, that's awesome. That's hilarious. I love it.
And what's kind of good about, what's even more interesting about this is that they're first-year students. This isn't like our second-year coders. These are guys who are coming in just learning how to do coding. So it's kind of amazing the work that Mrs. Carr has done with this class. So kind of going over our student success, program completion, we're at 91%, industry credentials at 98%, and then our industry required or preferred was at 70%. Positive placement for our students looking for work was 71%, and then our survey for response rate was at 75% for the students who have left and graduated who responded back to our surveys. So we got a lot of good data from all that information. Always stands out program completion, that 91% of our students stay here through the whole program. So it's kind of good to see that. It's great work by the teachers who keep them interested, keep them going for that to be at 91%. It's great work by everyone. Our community engagement, we did a couple of things. We did our central campus signature event. This year we did it again. It's our second year of Trunk or Treat. All the students and all the CTSOs were involved. They kind of dressed up their car, did the whole Halloween thing. We had food trucks, different things there that night. We had over 500 of the community who came in and was part of this for us that evening. So it was pretty great to have that many people on our campus. It also we open up our buildings, people can kind of look around, so it's a great community event. Part of that, we also did a St. Mary's food bank, and my next slide will kind of show a picture of what we did for that one. Summer camps, we did coding and avionics, and then this year we're doing summer camps again with coding, drones, welding, and precision and law. We're going to do those classes with our summer camps for 8th grade students. We had 2 open houses this year, and then tours. We're always having tours. I mean, even with Greg about a week ago, we had Tier International who came to tour. We have aviation schools that come. We have high schools, middle schools. We have everybody who just likes to come see our facilities and kind of take a look to see what we're doing. This is this is the aviation picture, but through the community engagement, through CTSOs and all the students, Central Campus collected 2,516 cans for the St. Mary's Food Bank. So that was kind of a great achievement to have that much. This was just what aviation collected. We had probably double of that in Building B. So it was kind of interesting to have St. Mary's come pick it up. We had quite a few things for them to pick up that day. I think we had like 6 pallets full of cans. So, kind of talk about aviation is that Eastern New Mexico University, we kind of do we do a concurrent enrollment with them. They're a two-year community college out of Roswell, New Mexico, and they have an aviation program to get their AS degree. And our concurrent enrollment with them is kind of, our kids are in our aviation program, and during the time in the 2 years that they're in our program, they can take 5 online classes at Eastern New Mexico. So the English, math, psychology, sociology, they take all those during the 2 years that they're in school with us. So they're taking college courses, going to high school, taking our aviation program at the same time. At the end of that time, when they are done, they get their certifications, do all their testing, get their own practicals done. They turn that over to Eastern New Mexico. Eastern New Mexico gives them 57 college credits for that, and they just roll that into an AA degree. So it's kind of a cool system. Eastern New Mexico's been doing this for years, but it's just a great connection with us to kind of do that. As you can see, for this year, we have 17 high school students enrolled right now in Eastern New Mexico. So it's kind of a cool thing. Hey, you got all this stuff going on, you do all this, but in 2 years, when you walk out with your A&P certificate, you've got your AA too. So it's a great partnership that we're doing with them, and really glad that students are doing that. And we kind of move this way because it's hard to do dual enrollment. We can't do dual enrollment for aviation. No college is going to give us dual enrollment because we're teaching college courses. So it's kind of, we had to try to find other ways to make this work because dual enrollment wasn't an option for us in aviation. But the program's been doing well. We've been doing it for 5 years now, so it's been doing pretty good. So next year, right now we do avionics / drones. The numbers are being kind of low, so we kind of are moving over to a new direction. We're going to get rid of avionics, and we're just going to do straight drones next year. The big change to that, we went from a 2-year program, we're going to do a 1-year program for drones. So we're going to do 450 hours of a drone program, and we're just going to bring new students in every year. So they're going to build, fly, they're going to get their pilot's license through drone certifications of their 107. They're also going to be building the drone, so it's kind of 2 parts. They're going to be doing half of it's going to be flying, the other half is going to be building drones and kind of learning how the GPS works, how all that kind of stuff works in building the drone. So it's kind of 2 parts. So that's our new program, and I think right now, if I remember right, we're like at 27 kids or so that have already enrolled for next year for drones. So that's kind of a good number for us.
I just have a silly question. What's the job opportunities for drones?
Pretty big right now. We've talked to a lot of companies. There's a lot of survey companies using it, a lot of farmers using it. I mean, there's a big thing, wedding photography. I mean, people are just using it for all sorts of things.
Can board members take the class?
Yes, we can do that too.
There's a little over a million of me that would love to operate a drone. Can't tell you why.
Yeah, so we've been buying, we got flight simulators so they can do flight simulators. We're trying to find a place that we can kind of climb and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because in the airport,
You can't do it.
in the airport funnel, you can't,
Yeah.
you can fly them around inside the hangar, but like
Yeah,
that.
so right now it's going to be the demo lab. We're looking at flying probably the minis.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of looking like Channel Government, we have to take a look at them. They have a big netted cage, like a batting cage kind of thing, net that they have out there. So we're trying to see if that's something that we can try to put somewhere on Central Campus. It's just kind of.
I had just a teacher trainer kind of course for 2 hours, and they were talking about all the different airport cordon sections and how high you can go near this airport and that airport. And it's like, you got to get out there to be able to just do whatever.
Yeah, and that's kind of another thing that we talked about was the land. That's where we're looking at purchasing that land. That may be an opportunity for to put a net out there too. So there's different things we've been looking at to try to figure out how we can do that. Right now, it's probably going to be minis in the demo lab.
Top golf.
There you go.
Just go down there.
That might work.
So this is kind of this is my last slide, and I kind of do this every time, kind of show everybody our utilization that we do at our campus, what we do on campus. As we talked about before, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day we do adult ed. We do adult ed from welding and coding. Then from 10 to 1, we have no really scheduled classes that time. We do have students that come in early, but nothing really is going on those 3 hours for classroom. Then at 1 p.m. we start with high school. We go to 6:30, and then we start adult ed at 5:45, and we go to 10:15. So really our campus is, we open up at 5:30 to get students in before the class at 6 o'clock, and we're there till 10:30 every night.
How long are you there every day?
On average, I'm there probably 10 hours a day. I try to kind of put myself in the middle and go both sides, so.
Are all the buildings open that whole time?
Yes.
Do you have your
We use
own
all 3
cot?
buildings. Huh?
Do you have your own cot?
Yeah. So we do put in a lot of time. We do a lot of that, but you know, it's something we have to do. Obviously, with the new adult ed coordinator or assistant principal, that kind of helps out because we have them doing adult ed. But there are certain things that certain of us do. Like for me, even though, as Lizeth was talking before about all of the auditing and everything on paperwork, that's true. We do that for adult ed. I do it for adult ed and high school. My job is to audit all paperwork of all aviation. I sign off on all aviation paperwork, and I'm the only one that can do a certificate. So there's a lot of work put in by everybody on campus. We have admins who are doing, auditing the, paperwork and filing it. We got people. So again, like I said, it's great teamwork because there's just no way we could keep the campus open this long with the staff we have because of just how much stuff that goes on. So everybody's putting in their parts and everything we do.
That's awesome.
One of those things that we do is the PSI test site. We have our own aviation test site. We do drone piloting, we do flight pilots, and we do our general airframe and power plant test also. To be part of PSI, to be a public, we have to be open to the public. So we are open to the public 10:30 to 4, and our admin that works up front, she is also a proctor, and she proctors all these tests as students and the customers from outside come in and do that. So we're open for that. So kind of right there, it kind of shows in walk-ins, you can see that we had, like 45 tests from just walk-ins that come through. For West-MEC students, we had 39 students who took general test, 36 took the airframe test, and 19 took the power plant test. So that's a lot of testing going on.
Is there a fee for that? Do we generate any?
Yes. It's not, we don't generate a lot of fees because PSI just changed. We used to be CATS testing, we used to get $65 a test. PSI now took over with the conjunction with the FAA, they kind of merged. We now get $22 a test.
And that just goes to pay the people doing it?
Yeah.
And pencils?
It just goes back into the funds.
Yeah, okay.
So they pay a test, every one of these tests that for aviation is $175 a test.
And we get 22 of that?
22.
Overhead.
Kind of tough, but it's our equipment, we use everything. All these tests have to be recorded. All these tests have to be proctored and watched at all times. So it's a lot of work in doing it, but we do a lot of tests over there. Or in practicals, those is what we do, is what we call, that's the hands-on test to get your airframe and power plant certificate. So you go through the 1,900 hours of class. Once you're done, you get a piece of paper that says you're now eligible to test. Then you go down, you take the written test in general, the written test in airframe, and the written test in power plant. Once you pass all three of those, you're eligible to take the oral practicals, which is the hands-on test, and then you do the same thing. You do the oral practicals for general, for airframe, and for power plant to get your A&P certificate. Terry and Martin are we call them DMEs. They have to be certified by the FAA to give these tests, so they are kind of the FAA proctors, but they're our teachers. Terry last year completed 24 of those, and which came out to 38 certificates. Martin did 18 of them, which came out to 27 certificates. Martin and Terry now do these on their own time. So these are done mostly Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays. An average test takes about 16 hours to do. So it's a lot of work that even goes into that to get our students certificated as they leave. So the tough part, again, it's doing it on their own times. And a lot of that is FAA doesn't want that kind of, we're paying them to do certain things, so we kind of try to keep stuff separated. So, here for any questions. Everybody has any questions about what's happening at Central Campus?
Any questions from the board?
Awesome stuff.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we get to move on to item number 14, the exciting world of display of textbooks. Dr. Laura Jamie.
Thank you, Chairman Tracker, Governing Board members, Superintendent Donovan. Of course, I get to bring you the most exciting news of the day, putting our textbooks that are up for display. So we have dental assisting and physical therapy technology that we will be putting on display. So there's free reading material in the lobby, or if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Is this a change?
They are changing textbooks. Dental assisting is changing due to the state standards changing, so they have brand new state standards this year, or coming this next year. And then physical therapy, they are changing due to their business and industry asking for the change.
Sorry, so dental is a state regulated thing, not a nationally regulated thing?
Well, the state standards changed, and so when the state standards changed, we put them through our curriculum revision process. So their advisory councils went through the process of reviewing their current textbook, crosswalking that with the current state standards, and then they decided to go ahead and switch textbooks.
Oh, I'm sorry, so it wasn't like the rules of dental certification, it was this ADE standards for dental technician okay, yes, all right, got it.
So that triggers a curriculum revision. And then they can stay with what they have or they can change.
Any other questions on textbooks? It's not an action item, so we'll all come in one day in the next month and read the textbooks in the lobby.
Please do. Fill out the form. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to calendar of events. Juvenile Justice Think Tank and our recognition ceremonies. You gave us those dates last month.
Mr. Chairman, at 100 miles an hour, this is Career and Technical Education Month. If you see a CTE person, congratulate them. This is Counselor Appreciation Week, and I want to thank the board for their patience. In order to qualify for some of those awards our HOSA students were talking about, they must make a presentation in front of the governing board. So they were all catching up tonight.
They were doing
So
their job.
thank you for your patience on
Did they design this? Do you have any idea? Their newsletter?
Yes.
Pretty good.
It's excellent.
You know, just for my board members, I have used the concept of Kool-Aid for years and years and years, right? Like there's people who stick their finger in the Kool-Aid and it's like, oh yeah, I'm a CTE supporter. And then there's people who kind of like take a sip of the Kool-Aid and like, I'm a CTE supporter. There's people who drink the whole cup. And then you can tell that those kids bathed in it, right? They just like went in and they're in, right? And that's when the magic happens, right? That's when the awesomeness, like if you just kind of dabble at it, it doesn't work. You got to go all in.
All right, anything else, Mr. Donovan?
No, sir.
Moving on to future agenda items. As you know, we had a special meeting last week to select a consulting company. The consulting company would like to meet with the board. So tentatively, Wednesdays at 4:30 seems to work. Would the board be available to meet with the consulting company about the superintendent search next Wednesday at 4:30?
Remotely or in person?
We could do either.
They would prefer in person.
In person. They will be here, but if someone's online.
I can do it.
I can do it, Frank, but it has to be 1 hour or less. I can't do this 2 or 3 hour thing next Wednesday, unfortunately.
So that's the 16th
This was almost 4.
at 4:30.
Is 4:30 to 5:30, Dr. Erb, that should be plenty of time?
They might want more, but whatever you could give them.
I might not be available. I have a deposition next Wednesday. Starting at 1. It goes for about 4 hours. I might be late.
If we can do it after business hours, I work every day. So
Yeah.
every time I have to do something at 4:30, it's a major hardship on me. If it's after 5, it's so
He
much
has a deposition till 5, so would 5:30 work?
Yeah, I'm gonna try 5:30.
Work session. This is really a work session.
Then I'm not limited by the hour. I have time.
So 5:30 would be better for
5:30 next Wednesday?
5:30.
Can we keep it to an hour?
You're going to have difficulty accomplishing the whole task, but as Mr. Straka said, or Mr. Erb, you may have to do more sessions.
If we're starting at 5:30, could we have snacks for the board? Because we're not going to have dinner?
5:30, sir. But if it starts at 5:30, could it go to 8 or 9?
at 3, so.
That's lunch. So 5:30-ish, we'll start at 5:30?
Yep.
Dr. Erb, does 5:30 work for them?
Oh, I'm sure. You're paying them. They should be on your time.
5:30 it is.
5:30 next Wednesday. Ms. Markham, if you'd send out a notice. We have these nice license plates. I didn't hear why is it just new?
CTE week, CTE
In the
month.
storage room.
CTE month. I found them in the storage room. I'm cleaning out, so I gave one to everyone on the board.
I wouldn't have answered quite that way. Last May, each completer got one of these,
So these are leftovers.
You know that.
in the box that every completer got with the swag from West-MEC.
I found them in the storage room.
Yeah, that's just the way it was.
All right, anything else? Any other agenda items? Otherwise, we can stand adjourned.
Give me 5 minutes.